All right, guys, today we're going to look at interpreting the slope and the y-intercepts when they're in equations. So just a really quick review. When we have equations written in slope-intercept form, so y equals mx plus b, just a reminder that m is the slope, and those keywords are going to be like the per, each, every, daily, hourly rates, and then the b is going to be the y-intercept. And that's going to be the initial value or the starting or the original or when the x value is 0. So in the first example here, we have a pizza company sells a small pizza for $6 and charges an additional $2 per topping. So that keyword per relates to slope. So that means that the $2 is going to be our slope. And then the y-intercept would be the initial value or the initial cost of the pizza. So that $6 is going to be for the pizza itself. So if we're going to write our equation, remember slope is the m, y-intercept is the b, so we're going to write it y equals 2x plus 6. And then just on a little bit of a side note, the value that you would pay for the entire pizza with all your toppings would be the y value, not the y-intercept, but the y value. And then the x value here, the x would represent the number of toppings that you would get. That would be the toppings. All right, so we'll move on to some examples. The cost to mail a box of textbooks can be modeled by this equation, y equals 1.5x plus 7.5, where x is the number of books mailed. What does the y-intercept represent for this equation? All right, so when we're referring to the y-intercept, remember the y-intercept is the initial value. So the cost to mail each textbook, the keyword each refers to slope. So it is not answer choice A. The number of books mailed, okay? So if we're looking at the number of books mailed, it says X is the number of books mailed. That is incorrect for the y-intercept. That's the X value, kind of like it was in our example problem where the X was the toppings. All right? And the cost to mail all of the textbooks, that would be the Y value. So it's not C. Hopefully it'll be answer choice D. So the cost to mail a box with no textbooks, that would mean the X would equal 0, so that has to be the Y-intercept. I don't know why anyone would mail a box without anything in it, but that's just the way it goes. All right, the next one here. The cost to rent a bike can be modeled by the equation y equals 2.5x plus 1050, where x is the number of hours that someone rents a bike. What does the slope represent for this equation? So we're looking for the slope, okay, per, each, every, hourly, words like that, okay. So the hourly rental fee, that seems like it might check out. The initial fee, the word initial means the y-intercept, so it is not answer choice B. The total cost to represent the bike would be the y value. The number of hours someone's rented the bike, it says X is the number of hours. So that is our X value, which means our initial thought of the hourly rental, answer choice A, was correct. All right, the height of a sunflower in Julia's garden is measured by this equation here, where y is the height in centimeters and x is the days since the sunflower was transplanted. What does the slope represent in the equation? All right, so we're looking for slope. Whoops, highlight it. Slope, okay? And so the slope would be, again, daily, hourly. We're going to look at all of our answer choices. The height of the sunflower, all right? The height, it says y is the height, so it's not A. That's the y. The number of days, x is the number of days. Incorrect. The daily increase, all right, so we're looking for slope, and it says daily, maybe. And then last but not least, it says the initial, and that would be the y-intercept. and this one's asking us for the slope, so it's going to be answer choice C. All right, moving right along. We have a ranch in Texas charges customers to go horseback riding based on this equation, where X represents the hours that they go horseback riding. What does the Y-intercept represent for this equation? So the Y-intercept here is 20 in the equation. So we're going to read through our answer choices. The cost per hour, remember per means slope, so it's not it. Initial fee is a good keyword for Y-intercept. Okay. The number of hours horseback riding, X represents the number of hours, so it's not C. And then D, the total cost to horseback ride. The total cost would be the Y value. So the Y-intercept, or the initial value, would be B. All right, moving on. We've got just a few more, okay? Charlie rented a moving truck. He paid a daily fee plus a per mile fee to rent the truck. The equation represents the daily amount Charlie paid for the truck if he drives X miles. We're going to go through this one just a little bit quicker, just for the sake of time here. So we're looking for the slope. We know that our slope represents daily, hourly, exactly like that. So we're looking here, the daily fee for moving the truck, or the per mile fee. Now we're kind of confused. Is it the per mile or the daily? Well, let's go back and look. He paid a daily fee plus a per mile fee to rent the truck. This whole equation models the daily amount. So what he's paying for every day is not only to rent the truck, but he's paying per hour, or excuse me, per mile that he drives the truck. So it is not going to be the daily fee. It's not going to be how many miles he drives or how much he paid for the truck. That's X, that's Y, and then that's your Y-intercept. So it's going to be the per mile, okay, per mile. All right, next one, we're going to go on over. All right, get my pen right here. Janice is saving money for retirement. This equation models her retirement savings, where Y is the total she has in dollars and X is the number of months. What is the meaning of the Y-intercept? So I'm looking for the Y-intercept, okay? The Y-intercept is the value that is not being multiplied by the variable, okay? So the meaning of the Y-intercept is going to have to include the value of 12,000. She did not start with 500. She did start with 12,000, but we're going to keep reading. Anytime it says each month, that is slope, slope, slope. So our answer is B. All right, last three. Here we go. This equation shows the relationship between the charge, C, in dollars for renting a kayak for T minutes. What is the meaning of the Y-intercept? So if we look at the Y-intercept, okay, the Y-intercept is 350. So again, Y-intercept, right? It does not cost $3.50 per minute for the kayak. It only costs 20 cents a minute for the kayak, so that's incorrect. B is also incorrect because that's talking about the slope. The 20 cents is our slope, and the $3.50 upfront cost before using the kayak, that would be your Y-intercept. That would be that initial fee that you have to pay. All right. The cost in dollars to rent a moving truck can be modeled by this equation, where X is the number of miles driven. What is the meaning of the slope? And so for this one, we want to look at the slope. Typically, the slope would be Y equals and then your slope, but they flipped it around, so you have to be careful to where you're be paying attention to where your variable is. So the slope is 0.25, and we're looking for the slope. All right. What is the meaning of the slope? The slope we know for sure is just 25 cents. So we're going to get rid of anything that says $35. Then we're looking for keywords. Per mile, that means slope. A flat fee, that means y-intercept. So B is our best answer. All right, this last question is one that you may see on your end of course exam, and we will get there. All right, this equation, y equals wx plus z, models the cost to rent a vacation condo in Palm Beach, where x is the number of days and w and z are both positive numbers. What does the w represent? So we're going to look at the w. If this were y equals mx plus b, notice how the w is in the position of the m, which is the slope. So we know that we're going to be looking for the slope, okay? And then we're going to look for keywords that go with the slope. Ooh, daily cost to rent the condo. Initial cost, that means y-intercept. The total cost of renting in the condo, that would be the y value. The number of days the condo is rented is the x value. So our daily cost to rent the condo represents the w and